Real fetish.
My life's like a movie, paparazzi picture. If it's to get richer.
Real fetish.
So what was your favorite part of Kink in Costa Rica?
Okay, first let me get it in my head that I cannot say names.
No, you can't say names.
Not even nicknames.
Nope, not even nicknames.
Okay, so you didn't say who were my favorite things to do with people there. Okay, favorite things. Everything. Oh my gosh, the food, every meal.
Amazing.
Every meal was amazing. But there were so many favorite parts. But I think one of the parts that was hearing someone say, I want this, and then turning around and it happening. And someone saying, I have fangs.
Word.
That's it. I feel like if I say anything else.
I can't say what my favorite parts were.
Yes, you can.
I can't. Can I?
Yeah. Well, can you do it how I did? Like, I'll know. They'll know.
I really enjoyed when people came back to their senses and were thankful for what was given to them.
Mm-hmm.
I enjoyed when everybody was watching me by the pool.
Mm-hmm. For a very long time.
A very long time.
I was watching for a long time, and then I was like, you know what? He's busy. I could go take a shower and have I could have this adult alone shower that I haven't had in a long time.
Years.
And when I got out, and I just knew when I got out, you'd be like, oh, hey. I was like, he's still at the pool.
Yeah.
That was something.
Broke night by the pool.
Mm-hmm.
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 And then repaying the person who was doing. I don't know what I can and can't say. I don't want nobody to be feeling like, you know what I'm saying? But
this is
for
so
everybody
fun.
who is just tuning in, you know what I'm saying? We did Kink in Costa Rica. It's our first time going there. And if you missed it, you fucked up.
Big time. Well, you didn't fuck up that bad because guess what?
We going again.
Yes.
But the reason I wanted to start with this question is we were going to talk about etiquette for swingers parties, events, so on and such forth. I know you had a better title for it than me, but
the title is right below. But I think we just shared one of the key etiquettes is privacy, confidentiality, right? And it's we can share our experience without sharing anyone else's experience.
And sharing their name or
descriptors,
background information and all that other kind of shit that sometimes people do. And I feel like that is if this was Biggie's 10 crack commandments of swingers parties and shit, you know what I'm saying? That's that's one of the first ones you tell people is don't disrespect people's privacy. Privacy is paramount because that's what's making people comfortable to even be able to show up, to engage and all of that, you know what I'm saying? And, safety. But that goes with all sexual exploits, not even specifically.
I'm just smiling from ear to ear because there's so many good, for such a short period of time, there were some really, really amazing moments.
The mummification though, top notch. It was top notch mummification at a party. I can't say I've ever been to any party or event with that much mummification.
There was a lot of mummification going on. There was some evacuation going on too. So swinging and the etiquette around swinging, we wouldn't have thought of this topic if there weren't folks who do some really
dumb shit.
Yeah. So what is, okay, so we're off Kink in Costa Rica for now. What are some things in your experiences with swinging that you were like, how do you not know? How do you not know? But wait, before you get started, let's have a drink over this.
Oh, sure.
I want this to be a very lively discussion. Here you go. You're welcome.
Salud.
Salud.
I got a lot of stories.
I know.
I haven't been in a while, but I used to frequent swingers clubs, swingers events, things like that. And I think for me, the number one thing that I think of, like, how do you fucking not know this? But this, to me, it's another thing. Like, it should extend into how people act even outside of swinging. Don't fucking touch me. If I don't know you, if I didn't welcome you to do so, don't touch my partner if she didn't welcome you to do so. You know, like, that shit is just weird.
Yeah.
But it's crazy. And I always think of this one time, because everything up until this moment was like fucking perfect. I was going with a friend of mine who I would just refer to as Centaur, because names have been changed to protect folk. You know what I'm saying? But we used to go to a lot of swingers clubs back in the day, and we used to frequent this one in New York called Trapeze.
Okay.
And Trapeze had like 2 floors, and like there's a main space where there would just be lots and lots of people.
Okay.
But if you go up the stairs, they had like smaller rooms with like maybe just a 5-person room or a 10-person room or whatever. But they also had this one little spot, and it was this sex chair, and it overlooked the main room. So you could see everybody in the main room, and they could see you. Okay. And that was our spot. We was like, we just gonna go there and wow the fuck out, put on a show, and it will attract whoever we want to attract. So we was going in, and out of nowhere, like, the thing was that sucked about it is, like, the chair is here, the stairs are right behind you. So people would walk up the stairs so they could kind of like see you and peek in. Like, that's sexy, right? That's cool. We're okay with that, clearly. But then one day, this one time, somebody just reaches out and like just reverse, like, Nelly tip drill videoed my whole spine and ass crack, right? Oh. And I turn around and look, and it's this lady, and she's just smiling at me. And it's like, yo, what's wrong with you? Yeah. Like, don't do that. Because my first reaction was to kind of like, you know, turn around like, what's up? And I'm not here for that. You know? So it'd be completely different if she walked up and even spoke to either one of us, you know, and it kind of like ruined the moment. And I know there was like same kind of thing, like you reach, and then before even like she was understanding that I was not okay with it, she like reached out and grabbed Shorty leg. So it's just like, what are you doing? Yeah. And that's the kind of moment where it's like, you should know you need consent to do anything here. Right. No or consent. Anywhere. Yeah, exactly. But like, you should know that for this space of any, I mean, you should know that in your life, but for this space, I feel like a lot of clubs now, I've noticed they do kind of have like an introduction to everybody that's in there. Yeah. This was kind of like a club where people would just kind of come and go. Come in. You know what I'm saying? So there was no combo.
I'm a little stuck with what does we was really going in. Like, can you kind of like walk me into like everything was perfect, right? Perfect. So I could see the location.
Well, to me, it's like everything. Like it's one of those nights that like is just forever stored in my brain.
Like the whole night was just
except for that. You know what I'm saying? Because it was just like dinner, you know what I'm saying? We was dressed, we was looking fly, fit, feeling good, and ready to fuck, you know what I'm saying? So it's like we go there, and you know how like when you demand the attention of people when you walk in the room kind of vibe. So it's already,
all eyes on you.
and when we would go, we would usually have like, you know, just communication with each other. Like, oh, she's cute. Or she'd be like, you know, I like her. Oh, but her man. Okay, I like both of them or whatever. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like kind of like that communication. And it's like, okay, so now let's
lure them in.
let's bring them to us. Let's show them what we can do. And the chair was like, you could just get into so many different positions in it that it was just like one of those fun things. It was fun to fuck on it.
Got
you know
it.
what I'm saying? So it's like we're doing all that, and then at the same time, like building up a sweat, looking over the thing to see who's in the big space and doing their thing. Like the watch and be watched is such a turn on.
Ooh, okay. So does this club still
You know what? I don't know if it still exists. There's actually one with the same name in Miami that I heard of.
Yeah, I think there's like a chain of them maybe now.
Okay.
Okay, so no touching without asking.
Yes.
Okay. I have been on a swingers cruise before, and that was also my experience with not. So this is something that I learned. I thought that like, okay, I was going to go on this cruise and that swinging was going to be taking place like at all times.
Everywhere.
Yeah, and I mean, I think that this is like it's important because people do have like this misconception, right? That swinging is like a lifestyle, right? So it's the conversations that you're having, it's the people that are there, it is the activities that you're doing together, the way the flirting that may be happening, or like you're going. That. Yeah, all of it is swinging, not just the fucking, right? Like, oh, you're sitting and having breakfast with someone and you know, like you walk up to the table, that may not be that person's spouse, and you know, but that's totally normal. Oh, you know, we're getting to know each other. My wife is coming down in a little bit, like, so all of that was really cool. But and then in understanding that, I sort of was just like, okay, I'm way more comfortable here now that I understand like there's a playroom, or that people make agreements to engage with each other. It's not just sort of like anything goes. So I felt like super comfortable. And then someone had just like grabbed me up. It wasn't his age. It was his everything, his presentation. He was just very unattractive, like slimy kind of slimy kind of guy. And he just like pulled me really close and like tried to give me a kiss. And we were just in the hallway where you can buy like jewelry and clothes and stuff. And it was clear that he had this misunderstanding of what being in this space of swingers meant. It, you know, and I just was like repulsed and like pushed away. And it was just, and then it was sort of like awkward because of having like this idea like, oh, like this person clearly misunderstands. And like you said, like, don't do that. Even though your first reaction is something very much more extreme. Yeah. So completely agree with like understanding what happens in the environment, and it's okay to like, I really think if the person approached me and asked like, you know, whatever, like you look so beautiful, or I would really like to, I'd really like to give you a kiss, or I'd really like to give you a hug, I would have said no, but I wouldn't have felt violated. And I may have told that person how they could engage with me. Yeah. But instead it was just like, and it kind of closed me off to that feeling of safety that I had, like once I had established like that this is actually a cool place to be. And I was just like, nah, it's actually, it would be cool if everybody knew how to, you know, how to handle themselves. It ruined it for everybody.
I think it, like I said, in a lot of the spaces that I've been in now, they do have like that consent conversation. And that consent conversation from the beginning kind of does put people on notice, like, don't get out of pocket.
That I may react in and that I have the right to react. Yeah. Like, I don't have to understand that you may blah, 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 nothing.
Yeah, and I think there's so many different levels of assumption that people can have. So for people who don't know, there are different types of swingers, different levels of swinging for people. Like some people are like, we only do soft swap, which is like there's no penetration, but maybe we'll do everything up to that point. Full swap, where people are doing everything. Or some people are like, we don't swing in the same room. Other people are like, we have to swing in the same room. You know, so I think it's very important, like just because you're at a swingers club or a party or something like that, don't assume nothing about nobody. Have a conversation first.
Right.
And it might be a conversation where y'all are all butt naked together doing something, but it's still important
To have it.
to say, is this okay? Are you okay? Do I have your consent? Consent sexy as fuck. People need to stop sleeping.
It is. It also will keep you out of a lot of trouble. So one of the other, either was it a cruise or resort, one of these places that we went to, they had the different bands that meant different things, which was really cool. It was like a way of communicating without necessarily, it was like, you know, like I'm open to swap, I'm bi, like all kind of different things, which I think is really cool.
I bet that cruise had EDM on it.
Every cruise I've been on has EDM on it. I really want to go to one of those, like the what is his name? The radio show host that used to do those cruises. I'm not even.
I was about to say I want Sinbad to throw swingers joint, so at least I know they go have some live ass music or whoever the new version of that is. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, there is. Yeah, but they don't do a lot of these groups. That's the other thing. Like they have these cruises or these events, but they don't market them as swingers, which is difficult because then you're in them.
Because then you get the wrong people and they be like, "Yo, what the fuck?"
Right.
Yeah, that's bad.
Right. I don't like that. It was like an assumption. So I mean, I think that is etiquette. It's like know what goes on in the space that you're in. That's important.
Super important.
What else comes to mind? Etiquette.
Etiquette. Well, I don't know if this is etiquette, but I do have something like a public service announcement for all people who throw swingers events, parties, and all of that. Stop with the motherfucking deviled eggs, macaroni salad, tuna salad, anything mayonnaise based at these events seems like a bad fucking idea. You know what I'm saying? Maybe you should go more on the healthy side or even on the protein side of things, but people don't need that much milk at these type of joints.
Yeah, bad food. Which and you see like people like, okay, so there's the people that are just like indulging and you're like, really?
Those be the people that's like, but I'm trying to do anal though. It's like, what?
But there's like one or the other. You know, it's either like you see a whole tray of food being wasted because it's the wrong type of food.
Yeah.
But
I do think you should pay attention to the fact that there is a whole long list of foods that are labeled as aphrodisiacs that are perfect for those type of events.
Yeah.
You know, but that I don't know why, but that shit always bothers me.
Deviled eggs.
I think another thing, and this is actually my first time ever going to like a legit swingers event. I did not know it was a swingers club.
Oh, that's poor etiquette.
That's really fucked up.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And
that's non-consensual exposure.
It's actually one of the few times that I ever went to a swingers event that I was like, I'm
not prepared for this.
like, and it wasn't even that. It was like it's such a long, crazy ass story, but I will only take this portion of it. It was like a club in Queens that you know, you had to let the people know to even get in, like some old locked door type shit. So I was like, oh, maybe they gonna have strippers or something. I don't know what the fuck. But I was there for a meeting. Like this is where someone chose to have a meeting.
Wait.
I was supposed to, this is like one of the first films I was ever going to be in. I was like 18 years old. Okay. So this producer invited me and two of the actresses to meet him at this club, but never said like, yo, this shit is a swingers club. Never said. One of the other actresses was there already. Okay. And
she was partying?
She wasn't involved in anything, but she was just kind of like, she the one who was like, come with me real quick. Okay. And then opened up this back room and it was just like this huge room full of mattresses and leather couches and people fucking. It was like in a warehouse and shit. It was bugged out. So I was like chilling. I was watching for a minute, but I was just kind of like, I'm here for this person to pay me. I'm not fucking these people for free. I don't know any of these fucking people either. You know what I'm saying? So like my hustler mind state was like, nah, we ain't doing this. Like it was different when I would go with like a partner or something like that. But you just bring me here like, nah, you don't get a free show. But I think about there are times that people have tried to bring people. Also, it's important to know sometimes people show up with people at swingers events that are not their significant other. You know what I'm saying? So those kind of situations, I feel like if you are in a situation where you are bringing someone who is not your significant other and you're meeting up with people who are married and swingers like that, you should disclose things like that.
Right.
There's nothing wrong with it. But you should disclose things like that before people get into situations that they don't know about.
Let me tell you something. If I see any of my homegirls' husbands out while we out and about.
Well, that's different. If that's someone who's cheating, you know what I'm saying? I'm not talking about nobody that's cheating. I'm just saying if people bring whoever they bring, some people do go to these events like, I'm trying to be with other married people because it makes them feel a certain level of comfort for being with other people who they feel like this person is spoken for.
Got it.
This person has ties to somebody or whatever, so they feel more comfortable stepping outside of their own relationship. I'm not even just saying people hiring people. I'm saying people who are like, oh, we just met on Tinder and we gonna show up here. You know what I'm saying? Like some people, but then they front. You know what I'm saying? So, that's a whole other thing.
That is a whole other thing. Be honest.
Which should go in your regular fucking life too.
I know, right? Is this show really about swinging or is this show just about being a good human?
I think that the part of swinging that really does interest me and part that I like personally, I like to watch my partner be pleased, but I also like to hunt together. Like that part of it is very fun. Yeah. Like seeing, I guess it's I don't know if it's the sapio, Emmy or whatever, but like those first initial conversations that you have with somebody where you might be physically attracted to them, but then you have that kind of getting to know you shit where it's like, oh man, this person is a complete fucking bird. Wah. But like the ones where it really hit and y'all start connecting and there's like a rhythm in your conversation and all of that shit, like, oh yeah, I really want to fuck this person now. Like I enjoy that shit. And if you can have that with either your partner is having it or it's a group conversation, like that shit is sexy to me.
I like that. Another point of etiquette is I don't believe in like taking one for the team. No. And I think that good etiquette is respecting like your partner's boundaries, respecting like having that signal of like, you're exactly. And not changing the boundary. Like that is something that happens and you see. I've been a crisis counselor on these lifestyle trips and events because of things like that. Like one, alcohol gets involved sometimes and that can make things really difficult. Or people go in under like false pretenses that they can handle this situation and they can't. But a lot of times, a lot of the things that come up are like, we agreed to this and this person got excited and then started to do some other things. Or they are expecting me to like meet them where they are. And I'm like, not there.
I don't know if this will have to be saved for our exes episode, but so like my time really, really going to swingers clubs and stuff kind of slowed down. Well, no, technically it fucking stopped completely when I got into this one relationship and my partner was not with that shit. And when we were kind of like trying to find ways to meet up and compromise, we actually had a good compromise. Like, let's go to that club. We don't got to fuck with nobody else. But like, let's just go to get watched because my exhibitionist needed to be on display. And that was cool. But I do notice like some other people in the club, if they've approached us and we were like, no, we good. Like then that doesn't mean we can't speak.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean we can't, share a drink
good
or
point.
whatever the fuck. But like, then they just like, oh, they ain't fucking with us, so fuck them. Like,
The rejection,
and everybody's, but everybody's level of engagement can always be different. Some people might just be like, we're here for heavy petting. You know what I'm saying? Like, we like being touched by other people, or we like having sex with one another in a group of other people fucking. And I think that this goes even beyond swinging to me. This just goes with how people engage in sex in general, right? Just because someone doesn't fuck like you fuck or whatever doesn't mean that y'all can't have a sexual experience together if you find a way to, if you enjoy the person. You know what I'm saying? Like, if people say like, oh, they shut me down for this one thing, now I can't fuck with them at all.
Right.
You don't have, you can find ways to still engage and enjoy one another based on the levels of where they're at. And you never know. You might find something else that you enjoy with them and vice versa, or knowing that they can trust you for that first thing, they might open up to something more for you later on. But everybody's in such a rush to get to that one spot. And that's one thing that I do see a lot at clubs, because it's like people have built up for that party, that cruise, that event for months. So they're like, we're going to do this. And it's not only because it's not just you thinking you're going to do it. You sitting there talking about that shit with your partner. Y'all plotting this shit. You're like, yo, we saw this profile of somebody else that's going to be there. We going to holler at them. You know what I'm saying? And then you get there and it's not that. So you can't be all butthurt about that. Like, you be open-minded, be respectful of other people and their boundaries.
I like the idea of having sort of like another plan in case, like, the fantasy that you have, because oftentimes you don't like know who all is going to be there, if they're going to be feeling you, if their rules are meshed with yours. But like, so what is our other option? And like you said, like, we'll just have sex in a different way than we're comfortable, or than we are used to doing, but in a way that makes us comfortable. Or we'll just have like great conversation. If people don't want to have sex with us, maybe we can make other kinds of connections. And like, what are those kind of connections that we could possibly make? And that was something that I was like, one of the resorts that we went to, which was a lifestyle resort, I'm still in contact with this couple to this day, is I love their, like, we just come here to like meet people, and then we meet up solo, or couple to couple outside of these spaces. They were not necessarily comfortable with swinging and having sex with people in public. They use that trip to meet other lifestylers.
That's smart to me.
And they, they were of a certain status where it's just like, if we like this couple, we will fly out to go and see them, or spend our like mid-year vacation with them. I was like, I like that. I love that. That's dating.
Yeah, it's good because it's better than going to a club where you don't know if people are into what you're into. You're going to a space specifically knowing, like, these people are into what you're into, so you don't have to rush. You know the end result can be what you want it to be. Absolutely.
And we wound up having like. You'll probably remember the couple. I said we had a great conversation with them at the pool. They like,
oh no, I knew who you was talking about already.
I loved it. It was such a it was nice, and it didn't feel pressured. So then, like, they create like a safe space. Like, it's like, oh, like, this is safe. We actually get to know each other. We're not like, so what are you doing after dinner? So are you gonna be in the playroom later? Like that. I don't like that.
So I'm thinking of another thing. So, party-wise, you have certain parties, and this is for people who throw events. This ain't even just for the party goers. People who throw events. Look, I'm looking directly fucking at you. Stop having them racist fucking rooms. Stop it. Stop having them chocolate rooms, as you call it, or the
+1.
Well, they did that after they realized that calling it the Mandingo or the chocolate or the blackety black room was racist as fuck. So stop doing that shit.
So I have some questions about that. I definitely have some thoughts, but I'm gonna present
white people throwing these parties who specifically do that shit. It's fucking fetishizing black folk. It's racist. Stop doing that shit.
I'm going to pose these as questions, but they are definitely loaded with opinion and thought. So, have you had this experience? I want to go back to the +1 room. Don't let me forget that. And the chocolate room and the white lady who brings a group of black men specifically to these spaces and is hired to do these things. You all know who you are because there's multiple companies that operate specifically like that. We're going to talk about that. Have you had different experiences with how party goers interact with you as a black man versus how they interact with other with non-black folks in terms of like inviting you to play? And I know that you haven't been a part of these like the fetish rooms and all that kind of stuff.
Yes.
What is the difference?
The difference is they want to go directly to sex. They don't want to have a conversation. And I already told y'all what I like. I like the conversation. I like to get to know people. I like to desire something more than flesh. You know what I'm saying? There's nothing wrong with that. I just like, to me, it's an even better high when I want all of someone. And a lot of times it's like, ooh, I've heard, what was it that one person, this on the fucking cruise, this one lady called me an exotic animal? I was like, what the fuck did you just say? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, oh, you're such an exotic animal. Like, is that supposed to be a fucking compliment? You know? Or, you know, when someone says, I want you to breed me. And, you know, I know some people think of that just from the, I guess, fetish aspect of it, but not when my ancestors were forced to breed. No, thank you. I don't use that word. Or just reference to my skin or my body in a certain way that it's just like, you was just talking to this Caucasian man over there and you didn't say any of that. You know, and it seemed like a nice conversation. Not that I was all in it, y'all was over there laughing and shit. You know what I'm saying? Like it's because we're fetishized. You know, we've gotten into that before, like on the show, where it's just like, you're not valued as a human being. You're still viewed as a physical commodity for their pleasure.
Well, I definitely have had those experiences with being chocolate all the time. It's like, why? You know, just you could even just like, what's your name? Or it's just that feels really gross. Or seeing people say things like, I have a dinner date at 6, or we're gonna come to your class, but we're meeting up with another couple for dinner, and then will you still be here at around 8 o'clock, right? So I'm like hearing this because a lot of times we're vending, so you're sort of hearing how people are laying out their plans, and then like when we are off, or when I went to a couple of them without you, it's like, okay, I'm off the clock now, so to speak, and now it's like, will I see you in the playroom? We're getting together in the bi women's group, and you know, it's like, but dinner, you know, can we do that? Or
because if you know Jasmine, her motto in life is feed me, fuck me, flowers.
Yes. And that first is in that order. The last two can
be feed me, flowers, fuck me. But as long as the feed me is first.
Absolutely. So they always lose me on it because it's like, why are you inviting me somewhere I'm hungry? And then like the name calling. Also, how I talked about that person grabbing me. I also noticed like the way people are, especially with you, how they just like go reach and touch. Where you don't see them having that interaction with other people. With, for me and the women that I've gone with that have been black women, there's always this like pulling at us where I'm observant to like, okay, because this is a new world for me, do I get offended? Or is that kind of like how everything, it's like, no, that is not how everyone is behaving.
So this is not going to air in Florida because of what I'm about to mention. I was watching this thing in the 1619 Project.
There goes the rest of the episode.
But they were talking about a lot of the stereotypes of black women sexually in regards to, always wanting it, always being ready for it, can't get enough of it.
I'm not black.
But literally comes from the plantation and the rape culture of white men.
It's justifying.
It's
rape.
like, and so many of the stereotypes about black folk come from just justifying how we were treated. So I do think, people always say, that's so long ago. But those images, those ideas have been passed down from generation to generation. Like, it's like you go get you a black woman or a spicy Latina and then, sow your wild oats and shit. You know what I mean? So I do think that there's that kind of thing, because also if you're going to have an event that you label as the chocolate room, or you're going to have these kind of like racial fetishizations of people presented on your fucking programming, people are going to be mistreated at your shit, because they're going to see even the black men or black women that aren't involved in that shit. The white folks that's there is going to think, well, if you're here, that's of course that's why you're here. You didn't pay like me to get here. You're part of the help. You know what I mean? And that's
you're
why
an amenity.
I say, you're something for me to play with. You're not a person for me to have a conversation with. So that's why I say, like, that shit makes those events unsafe for people. They make it unsafe for people of color. Clearly non-enjoyable. You know what I'm saying? So, if you out there throwing events, do better.
And also, if you're being invited to events, think about what you're,
warned.
what it is that you may be walking into, and how you are contributing to an unsafe situation for other people. Because I remember being on a cruise and somebody being like, "Oh, you with the whatever the name of it," and you was like, "No, what's that?" "Oh, you're not with the." You're like, "Nah." And and then you kind of see how people are approaching you completely, like as if they could have access to you in this particular way, which is it's mind-boggling to me.
Okay, here's another thing that I don't even know how someone messes this up, but I have been to a party where they did not have something that is completely
required
and utterly required.
Okay, so it's one of two things.
Yes.
But I'm going to go with lube.
There you go.
Okay. The second thing I was going to say was condoms.
They did have some
lubricated condoms?
Some prophylactics. I don't know if they was lubricated. I showed up with my own lube too. But like, I was just like, how did they not have that for people here? Because someone was asking me about my lube.
Like, nah.
I mean, sure, but you know what I'm saying? It's just like one of those kind of situations where you should have that.
And it wasn't in the invitation to bring your own?
No.
Now, I will say also etiquette with that, right? Like, I think you should be responsible to bring like the lube that you, and the prophylactics that will work for you, work with your body. I love seeing in like the women with the little baggie, it has their little hoe kit,
Gotta have your hoe
gotta
bag.
have your hoe bag. But as a person who throws events, like having a variety, King in Costa Rica, we had a wide variety of lubes, so many different kinds.
Assortment.
An assortment, and thinking about like body safe products and things like that. I think that's super important. I remember hosting the By Woman's Room with our friend in the industry. I finally a name I can say, with Organic Lovin'. And
shout out Sailor.
Yeah, and I remember us running around like crazy, like we need dental dam, right? Like not, and the women were prepared to just like cut condoms. And I mean, they could, but why should they?
That's a good point. Someone actually on our Kink in Costa Rica trip asked that when we were having like one of those conversations about ask anything, and they were like, when I go to events and it's women's events, they don't have dental dam. But if it was an event with men, they would have condoms for oral. And that is also one of those kind of things that's like where people make the mistake. Like, I mean, granted, people be like, men might not have the hygiene that women have on a larger scale.
Oh, that's my next etiquette. Go ahead.
But yeah, that is very important etiquette. But diseases don't know no gender or orientation. Anybody can fucking have them.
Right.
So you should be protected at all times with everybody.
Absolutely. I you know, we were so fortunate to have travel with a group of people that were so sexually responsible about their sexual health, and that were just like open to sharing what they were working with or what they weren't working with, so that we could all make like very, very responsible decisions. But knowing that may not be the case, it is important to consider your sexual health and wellness by making sure you make sure they have what you need, or you bring what you need.
Absolutely.
Okay, so hygiene.
Oh shit, so important.
It is so important. And like, I think about, you know, like so when you're telling me that you was partying in Queens and are in the city, I'm like, so y'all took the train there, or like?
Oh, we drove.
Okay, y'all drove. Okay, so that's good. So that's a shorter amount of time, like sitting on your ass, right? And then like,
but they also have showers in that spot.
Exactly.
So you could shower and walk around with a towel or a robe.
Mm-hmm. I like clubs that or events that have that built into the protocol, because not everybody's starting point is the same.
Facts.
You know what I'm saying? Or just like, I'm even thinking like, you know, like your adrenaline, like you're excited.
Oh, that makes me think. I don't know if this spot is still there. Pleasure Garden in Philly. They had like these showers that you could like see people showering.
Okay.
Yeah, they had some also that was private, but they had some like if you wanted to like just show up and just, I'm naked, I'm getting clean, and y'all could watch me. Like that was a very fly feature. That spot.
Is very sexy. But at our event saying like, okay, so now's a good time to freshen up while we go ahead and set up, right? So it's like an invitation to consider that you're going to potentially be close to other people. Now would be a good time to freshen up. Yep. But making sure that you have like the proper soaps and all that other good stuff that you need for your body to be clean. Considering your nerves, you know, and like that you may start to sweat, or if you have a really strong body odor, like that could be a turn on your pheromones. It can also be a turn off, just the same way like perfumes and different types of creams and things can be. So I think kind of common sense, like if you're going to be in a public or shared space, sort of neutralize the things that you may like in your own home.
Oh, that leads me to another one. Shared space. So clean up after yourself.
Yeah.
You know, I definitely have been to clubs where people like leave a mess, and you know, there are people that are employed by the club to clean up, but they shouldn't have to clean up all your shit.
Mess, yeah.
Like, come on now. You know, like if you just flinging condoms or dental dam in the air or whatever, like
it's not necessary.
It's not necessary.
Yeah.
You know, and then also, you know, places provide you with towels. You can take the sheets and just put them in the receptacles that are usually there for you. But yeah, that's a bad one. But I feel like that's another one that goes to the rest of your life too. When you share a space, I'm banging the mic and shit.
Take care of the people's stuff now.
The shared space. You know what I'm saying? In a shared space, you should definitely clean up after yourself wherever you are, but especially in that kind of spot where it's your fluids. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Like, don't leave that for other people to clean up. And also, it's like if I see a sheet, and usually it's like dark, I may not think that somebody was just on it, and like that's really gross to like lay down in somebody else's mess. So I have one more thought on etiquette, and if you'll match me with another one. This one is really really, really important for me. I don't think that you have to connect with people that you meet in swinger spaces outside of those spaces. And I think that this can get a little bit like how we talked about, like having consent, knowing sort of what your boundaries are, what you're going to do physically, what you and your partner or partners are comfortable with. But we talk about this so much in BDSM, right? But like, what's going to happen at the end? And I remember going to my first swingers event where first club. I only played with you and the two people that we went with. And then there was a person that was watching us, and then after, like, he approached me for my number, which, like, it was nice. He turned out to be a nice person, but, like, in retrospect, I'm kind of like, why'd you do that?
Mostly if you're not involved in the thing. Like,
yeah.
that's a little...
Yeah. And, I mean, it was, maybe it's just one of the things, like, kind of being certain with yourself how you feel about that, because I think, like, now I probably say, like, oh, no, thank you. Just here for the day, here for the moment. Like, we shared a moment and we're done. But I think I was, it was all new to me, so I was a little caught off guard. But also we've been, like, just for our last trip, we made it really clear, like, if you would like to engage with somebody after, this event, like, we won't be sharing an email list or anything along those lines. I think it is really important for the person that is the coordinator or the person hosting, that you allow people that privacy. Like, y'all are not a tribe now. You had a shared experience, and allow people to decide if they want to carry that experience forward. And I do think that maybe checking in with yourself, deciding, like, do I want to just have this moment, and if I run into them again here or in the lifestyle circuit, or do I really want this person to message me tomorrow, like, how you doing?
Yeah, it's every individual's choice. Right. And I think sometimes I can see where people are like, I want to hang out with people that are like me. And then also some people, they host smaller events or other couples at their home and things like that. But then there are other people just like, this is my shit at the club. Yeah. We came, we danced, we out. You know what I'm saying? So I think that's very important to be able to respect people in that.
And just like, maybe just asking in that way, do you communicate with folks outside of here? And then be okay with that yes or that no, versus a more direct, like, like, can I get your number?
I mean, a lot of times people be like, are you on this particular website or da-da-da-da-da?
Where can I find you?
Where?
And it's like, oh, no, you can't. That's okay, too.
And then when it comes to that also, and this, all right, so here's another one I got for you.
Okay.
The unicorns. So there are a lot of different events that some will allow single women, some will allow single men. Single men, speaking to you directly. I've been a single man at swingers events before, so I'm gonna speak. I got this camera here.
That's them.
I'll even talk to this camera here. All you gotta do, chill out. Just chill out.
don't even say too much.
For real, like, as a single man at some of these events, people come across as extremely pushy. And I know that people are like, in their mind, it's like I gotta get it in. Kind of like we were talking about with couples who, overplan for the event.
Yeah.
So it's like you're the single person and it's just swirling around in your head. Trust. If any of those couples want you, they will come and get you. They will come and get you. You know what I'm saying?
They will come and get you.
But it's like, for so many people, this is a space where they're like, this is what I want to do. This is what I want to experience. I know I can't do and experience this outside because it's unsafe. Right. So if you're acting the same way, that creepy ass, overbearing ass, annoying ass, fucking predator ass men do outside of these swingers events, that ruins the safety for everybody inside of it. So if you're all like, yo, or excuse me, you know what I'm saying, just bothering people.
Y'all good?
Yeah, like, and that's why there are certain events where they do have people who are hired to be there. I've actually worked at an event where I was hired to be a unicorn. And that shit was dope. But even then, as the unicorn, I was greeting people at the door. And then if they wanted to holler at me, they came and got me. You know what I'm saying? So it's very important to respect those boundaries because it can come off really fucking creepy. And since it's a space that people are expecting others to have sex, if you're just kind of leaning on somebody, then it does come off very predatory.
As a professional unicorn, is that something that, do you do any type of consultation with, like, is that something someone could actually hire you to help orient them to?
Absolutely. One of the clubs that I worked at, I had been there long enough to kind of like, when they had a new guy or a new woman come into work, I would kind of tell them like, this is what's expected of us. But also like from my time working here, this is what you look for. It was like an after hours swingers club in New York, and it's a random ass building. That spot was wild. It was so fucking wild. But it'd be like, and from being there, I noticed and was able to experience all types of fucking swingers. Not because they let single men in for like a super high price.
Okay, right.
They let single women in for not higher price at all. They probably was just like, sure, come on in. But like it was like it was sold as like a couple's playground in a way where you can find whatever you're looking for, whether it's other couples, single men, single women, you know. So you really had to learn to gauge the room and gauge people, because some people, they are shy.
Right.
And the way they're letting you know you're interested is they're fucking staring at you and like kind of giggling or whatever the fuck. And then there's other people that are loud and boisterous that'll be like, oh,
bottle service,
come over here. You know what I'm saying? And it ranges from people. But think of how extreme that is. And then all the variations you have in the middle.
In between, yeah.
So you have to be able to be respectful of where everybody else is. Or if you are you know, you are one of those men who paid the money to go into the club, you don't want to get thrown out for being an asshole.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
I mean, the fact that there is professional etiquette that's attached to it, I do think that lay folks can learn, you know, from that.
If you want to learn how to be a unicorn, I'm talking to you. Hit me up. Me and this camera have good rapport today.
I see. Are you hooking up with the? I'm good with it. All right, cool. Well, I think that we hit on some of our high points and low points with swinging. And for those of you that are interested in traveling with us, again, not necessarily to swing, but, you know.
To engage in all the things.
To engage in all the
be
things.
sapio, to be whatever you want to be. That's what we do. And we're going to be going back to Costa Rica. So you can go on the website, put in your application. And we have some other locations coming up as well. So definitely make sure that you follow us on all the various forms of social media that we are shadow banned on. But definitely go to kinkingcostarica.com, go to jetsettingjasmine.com, kingnoir.com, and it'll lead you to all the spaces that we at.
Yes. Good night.
It's the 10 swing commandments. What? Boom, 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 boom. That's what we should call that shit.
Royal Fetish.
My life's like a movie, paparazzi picture. If it's to get